just sort of by accident, where I'm not sure why I thought about it. I'm pretty sure I was looking into like Hindenburgs and stuff. But I, if you're not familiar with my page, what I do is look up the official narrative of what I'm supposed to know about whatever it is. Most of my stuff, I'm 100% end Israel, fuck Israel, not free Palestine. And I get all of my information from what they want me to know. I put Israel into the Google machine, I click enter, and then I click news, and I read the news they want me to read. And reading what they want me to read just shows you how disgusting they are. Imagine what they're hiding from us. And I think, people like My Lunch Break and Mind Unveiled and never remember the guy's name. Orbit, something, I don't remember. But these guys, they prove it over and over again that the narrative that we're given is bullshit. Like, especially My Lunch Break. My Lunch Break likes to go through and, like, I just watched this Balboa Park video. I don't know if that's a new one, but I just watched it. And this guy, oh, you get Wikipedia. When it comes to like official narratives, you can't edit Wikipedia. You want to see what happens when someone like me tries to edit Wikipedia? So right here, I'm actually reading about Gustav Eiffel, right? So I'm going to click on edit, edit without logging in. Oh, look, it gives me the opportunity to edit something. So let's just take this D off, okay? So now it allows me to click enter. I'm going to publish it. Oh, error, edit not published. This IP address range has been globally blocked. This does not affect your ability to read Wikipedia pages. Most people who see this message have done nothing wrong. Some kinds of blocks restrict editing from specific service providers or telecom companies in response to recent abuse or vandalism, and can sometimes affect other users who are unrelated to that abuse. Review the information below for assistance if you do not believe that you have done anything wrong. This block affects editing on all Wikipedia wikis or Wikimedia wikis. The IP address or range, blah, 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 has been globally blocked by Amanda NP for the following. This is a different this one's different than the last time I looked, the person that blocked it. For the following reasons. Due to abuse from this IP range, anonymous logged out editing has been temporarily blocked. Please refer to the guide for assistance. The block will expire on 1639, 439, January 15th, 2026. Oh, the last time it was 2027. Weird how the block is different from this different person. But that's so when you think when you hide behind, oh, you're just getting that from Wikipedia, blah blah blah. Well, understand that there are official Wikipedia pages that exist, and they exist in a way to program. This is where kids are supposed to get their book reports from. They go to these sources and they get the information. This information isn't allowed to be messed with. And if you read most of the Wikipedia stuff, it reads as book reports do. They make it super easy. So one day I decided to look up the history of submarines. And the way I do this, again, I do this blind. Like, I feel weird doing it this way. Elkin, what's up? Normally I like to do it more spontaneously, more where I'm at risk, right? Where I don't know what I'm going to look up. But I happen to have looked this up before, and today I just happened to be messing around, and I thought, you know what? Let me see if I can find some footage. So I went to YouTube and I typed in submarines in action, and the first video that pops up is the U.S. Navy submarine in action video. It's 15 minutes long. So you think submarines actually exist, right? If submarines exist, then this shouldn't happen. I've been in a submarine. Sure you have. Curious what makes you think they are fake? Well, I'll show you. I think what you think of as a submarine is real. Like, I think submarines are boats. They're just boats. They're boats that can go mostly under the water, but they can't go swimming around the water like a fucking dolphin or some shit. And if you say I've been on a submarine because you've been to a place where one's docked and they let you go on it and all that shit, well, again, that's just propaganda bullshit. That's just to let the goyim think that, oh, this is real. We have these things. So people like you can say these things to someone like me. But this is Eagle Eye Military. This is the U.S. Navy submarine in action. You show me what proves to you a submarine exists. Eagle Eye Military. Okay. So we're just going to... So there we go. There's a boat. A boat. Oh, I don't want you to think I'm skipping through the boat going underwater. Boat doesn't go underwater. We just suddenly switched to this. So now we're inside the supposed submarine. Now we're back outside. We're in the boat. Oh, look, that guy has binoculars. He's official. That's a boat. Look at the boat. There's the front of the boat. Most of the boat's underwater. Look, they're riding on top of the boat. Look, they're still riding on top of the boat. They got their flag out. They're riding in the boat. Riding on the boat. Riding on the boat. Riding on the boat. Riding on a boat. Riding on a boat. Riding on the boat. Riding on the boat. Now they're back inside the boat. Uh-oh. I'll show you my favorite part. Look at all these official shots. Oh, looking through the periscope. He's looking through the periscope. Oh, that's official. Oh, look, that's official. Look at how official they all are. They're in... Okay, so imagine this. They're inside a submarine, and it's floating all around. Have you ever been inside like a train or a plane or something? Any little movement you feel. These guys, their heads don't move, nothing like that. I'm a marine biologist, have been for 10 plus years. Okay. That doesn't mean you're going in submarines that go floating around through the fucking oceans and shit. You might be going on one of those glass bottom boats or something, or you might even be able to go in one of those little submersible things that they actually do have, but they're still connected to the surface, because where the fuck are they getting their air from? But here, look, just, I'm wrong, right? Oh, official jargon, official jargon. Look how big the submarine is on the inside. These guys are just standing around. They're floating through water, and they're not, there's no movement. It must be one big gyroscope they're standing on, huh? Oh, look, that's official. If you're on just a regular boat and the boat's moving, you feel it. But not in a submarine, I guess. Oh, look, she's on the telephone. Must be official. Look, she's even smiling. Captain, we've got some stuff to do. Okay, well, let's go do that stuff, Susie. We need some sandwiches. Can you get up here with some sandwiches? Yes, Captain, I'll be right up with some sandwiches. Okay, this is my favorite part. Look at. Now they're in the control room, okay? This is the control room. They're going to do something crazy here. They're in the control. So now look, they're in the control room, and this is the Atari 2600 graphics that they use. Watch what happens when they hit the ice. They're busting through 4 feet of ice. Boom! They don't even shake a little bit. Nobody's head even moves, nothing. They just busted through ice. That's their submarine right now. Busting through the ice, right? Oh, look, there it is. It's busting. Well, we didn't get to see it actually coming out the top, but it just busting through the ice. That makes so much sense. You have a can with people inside it, a pressurized can. You're going to use it to bust the top of the can to bust through some 4 foot, 5 foot ice. 5 foot thick. Because we all know 4 or 5 foot thick ice is easy to bust through, right? So here we go, busting through. And the thing is, good thing they let that person off with the camera at some other point, right? Because how do they get the camera shot of the thing busting through if this is just out in the middle of nowhere? Somebody had to be out there already. Catch this amazing footage busting through this super thick ice. Oh my gosh. Look at how it just busts through the ice with the top of the submarine. Makes so much sense. Busting through the ice. Look how thick that ice is. Look at that. Just goes right through it like it's nothing. Look at that soldier up there. Look how thick that ice is. He's just pushing it off of there like, oh, I pushed that off. I don't like that submarine. And now the sub's just sitting there perfectly still. In some water with some ice around it. Just chilling. Oh, now we're back inside. Uh-oh. Torpedo time. Torpedo time. Look at all the official. It's all official. Look at how much room they have in this submarine. Man, it's good to go. Submarine. Launching torpedoes. Man, look at all of that technology. Oh, he's using the periscope. Burp, 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 burp. We've got 4, 5, 6. We've got 6, 5, 2, 9. Oh, here we go. And pew pew! The water comes out of the water. And it goes flying way up in the sky. And it's going to come down and oh, it's going to hit. Let's see, where does it hit? Here it comes. What's it going to hit? Skadooshie. Look, here it comes. Oh, that's a real ship. It busted in half with the missile. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit, Christopher. I absolutely hate them. Oh, look it. Look, here comes some more high-tech footage. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. Now we're in a boat that has... That's a submarine that goes through the water that has a piece of glass like that just stuck in it. So you can see the... What? Oh, now we're back here. Oh, look, it's over. Oh, look. You think one of these is going to go diving down into the water and show us any sort of maneuverability or anything? Or are these just going to be boats that float across the top of the water? That's good. I'm going to subscribe. Good, good, good. I'm glad you have a brain in your head. You have compassion. You're a decent person. Because anybody that's a decent person doesn't like Jewish people. They're awful, awful, horrible people. They're horrible, horrible people who do horrible things just to do it. Because they think they're born superior. Again, there goes that submarine. I know you're sure that submarine's going to go down. Nope. Oh, now we're in the hangar. Working on the submarine. Not a single shot showed you that submarine went underwater and did anything. Don't you think that's a little strange? Don't you think that's a little strange? You guys want to do the history of it? I've done it before, but that was a while ago, so I think we should do it again. Because I think you guys are going to be shocked by how fucking stupid this is. This is just more of the Jewish-controlled ChatGPT history that we all think is real, and it's not. Submarine. Let's look up what Wikipedia says, because again, Wikipedia is the official source of information. They want you going here. You are not allowed to you're not allowed to edit this. So, a submarine or sub is a watercraft capable of independent operation underwater. It differs from a submersible, which has a more limited underwater capability. The term submarine is also sometimes used historically or informally to refer to remotely controlled vehicles and robots, or medium-sized or smaller vessels such as midget submarines and the wet sub. Submarines are referred to as boats rather than ships, regardless of their size. Oh, that's weird. Here I am calling it a boat. So the inventor of the submarine is Cornelius Drebbel. Let's look up Cornelius Drebbel. You're going to love this. Cornelius Jacobzoon Drebbel, 1572 He was born in 1572, not sure when. Died on November 7th, 1633. Fuck yeah, he was. He was a Dutch engineer and inventor. He was the builder of the first operational submarine in 1620. How do you invent it? Where do you get your air from in 1620? And an inventor and an innovator who contributed to the development of measurement and control systems, optics, and chemistry. Oh, we have one of our world famous polymaths. One of these polymaths that can do everything. Guys, if you're watching, don't forget to share, like, subscribe, do all that shit, man. Help. Help. Maybe, if anything, you find people that'll tell me what I'm wrong about. This guy was born in Alkmaar, Habsburg, Netherlands, Holy Roman Empire, and died in London, Kingdom of England. Education, Hendrik Goltzius. I don't know what that means. Biography. Cornelius Drebbel was born in Alkmaar, Holland, in an Anabaptist family in 1572. After some years at the Latin school in Alkmaar, around 1587, he attended the academy in Haarlem, also located in North Holland. Of course, we know this. Think about this. Think about the idea that all of this is known, that some random doofus in Michigan in 2024 is reading about this on fucking Wikipedia. Just think about that. Teachers at the academy were Hendrik Goltzius, engraver, painter, alchemist, and humanist. Karel van Mander, painter, writer, humanist, and Cornelius, another Cornelius. That's pretty convenient. Cornelius Zoon of Haarlem. That's a horrible name. Drebbel became a skilled engraver on copperplate and also took an interest in alchemy. Gotta love all those alchemists from back in the day. So this school was taught by these three people. Gotcha. Remember, we're like hut people back then, right? We don't even really we have wagons with horses and wooden wheels, and you know, we're just as basic as can be back then. But we have these universities. In 1595, he married Sophia Jansdochter Goltzius, the younger sister of Hendrik, and settled at Alkmaar. He married the younger sister of his teacher. Gotcha. They had at least 6 children, of whom 4 survived. Drebbel worked initially as a painter, engraver, and cartographer. You know, making maps and shit. Don't we all do that shit? But he was in constant need of money because of the prodigal lifestyle of his wife. Fucking women. Women are always the fucking bane, man. From the Bible to the submarine. If not for those darn women. In 1598, he obtained a patent for a water supply system and a sort of perpetual clockwork. That's amazing. I sure would love to know those details instead of this other bullshit detail. Funny how I'm not going to find any other details, though. In 1600, of course, Drebbel was in Middelburg, where he built a fountain at Nuderpoort. Fucking A, building fountains and shit. You know, fountains back in the day that had water that sprung up everywhere. Like, there are so many of those old homesteads, fucking castle, whatever you want to call them, where a large portion of the property has fountains on it for no reason. Like, why would there be fountains just all over the place if you live in the house that's an acre away? You just have all these fountains just running all day long with what? What power source? Oh, well, he had the patent for the water supply system, so that's why he built fountains. He just fucking made it. In that spectacle making center, he may have picked up knowledge in the art of lens grinding and would later construct a magic lantern and a camera obscura. You know how we all did that, right? We all fucking do that. You know. How many camera obscuras have you made? Remember, this is 1600. This is the guy that invented the submarine. He's also making cameras, magic lanterns. If you're not in on the magic lantern and camera obscura technology, like those are blue, I could absolutely click on those, but I don't want to go down those rabbit holes. I want to keep talking about submarines. Around 1604, the Drebel family moved to England, probably at the invitation of the new king, James I of England, 4th or 6th of Scotland. Right. This random dude where was he in? In Holland, got an invitation from the new king to come live in England. Like, it's like the ChatGPT is only programmed with so many parameters that it has to start lumping all these same people together to be able to connect the story. It can't think outside the parameters, so it just makes this goofy history it's all intertwined. Everybody just knew each other. He was accommodated at Eltham Palace. Oh yeah. Just a small little residence they accommodated him at. Fucking A, why not? Is a large house in Eltham in southeast London with a royal borough at Greenwich. The house consists of the medieval Great Hall of a former royal resident, to which an Art Deco extension was added in the 1930s. Of course it was. Hello. The 30s is like right when we sort of forgot how to do all this stuff was in the 30s. The hammer beam roof of the Great Hall is the third largest of its type in all of England. And the Art Deco interior of the house has been described as a masterpiece of modern design. The house is owned by the Crown Estate and managed by English Heritage, which took over responsibility for the Great Hall in '84, and the rest of the site in 1995. The original palace was given to Edward II in 1305 by the Bishop of Durham, Anthony Beck, and used as a royal residence from the 14th to the 16th century. According to one account, the incident in which inspired Edward III's foundation of the Order of the Garter took place here. The Order of the Garter is an order of chivalry founded by Edward III of England in 1348. The most senior order of knighthood in the British honours system. It is outranked in precedence by only the decorations of the Victorian Cross and the George Cross. The Order of the Garter is dedicated to the image and arms of St. George, England's patron saint. Got nothing to see there. Don't worry about that. That's nothing. 676 years ago it was established. Still going today. The motto, Honey soit Q koi mal yai pence. That's Anglo-Norman for shame on him who thinks evil of it. That's a great motto. See, I mean, you start going down into these places and it just completely throws you off. I'm already off. I'm on Drebel here. Back to Drebel. Drebel worked there at the Eltham Palace. There at the masks that were performed by and for the court. The masques. I don't know. Masques. Masques. He was attached to the court of young Renaissance Crown Prince Henry. He astonished the court with a demonstration of a perpetual motion machine, automatic and hydraulic organs, and his optical instruments. So he had a perpetual motion machine in the 1500s. That's fucking incredible, don't you think? Like, seriously, you guys. Think about what you're being told yet again. Another one of these polymaths just fucking exists. We don't have these people today, but back then they were in huge supply, and especially considering there weren't nearly as many people back then. So such a large percent of the population were these polymaths that could just do anything. Anything they wanted to. Perpetual motion machines, hydraulic organs, optical instruments, automatic and hydraulic organs. What the hell is that? This is the 15 fucking hundreds. What are we talking about here? His fame went through the courts of Europe. In October 1610, Drell and his family moved to Prague on invitation of the Roman German Emperor Rudolf II. Like, of course he did. Of course he did. The first invitation by whoever, the Edward, the whatever, or James of England, well, he had went there and astonished everyone with his shit, and then he was like, fuck it, I'm going to go to the Roman German emperor now. That sounds like a fucking plan. Who was preoccupied with the arts, alchemy, and occult sciences. That crazy Roman German Emperor Rudolf II. Here again, Drebel demonstrated his inventions, which we're not going to find any information on those. We get these goofy stories of, like, to think about somebody's keeping track of this. I'm looking this guy up. I want to know about this guy. And instead of finding how he came up with any of these perpetual motion machines or anything like that, I just find that he's a fucking a clown for hire. He's a party. He's an entertainer. He's the wedding singer of his day. And he goes to all these different palaces where, you know, they don't have lights. They don't have cameras. They don't have internets. They don't have cars. They don't have shit, you know, they don't have shit, but they're traveling all around. They live in the lap of luxury. While he's in his throne room with the getting fed grapes by scantily clad women, this guy is there demonstrating his machines, his perpetual motion machine, his hydraulic organ, his automatic and hydraulic organs. Like, how do we just skip over these things? Like, oh yeah, that's nothing. But this is the guy that invented the submarine, so I guess at the end of the day, these are just like secondary. This guy invented a submarine. We're getting there, trust me. We have to go through all this crap to get there because it's also believable. They have to somehow convince you that this guy created the submarine, so why not? Let's just say he was a super badass inventor who could just go from, you know, camera obscuras to perpetual motion machine. He could do it all. This dude was badass. He was a ninja. I skipped over that part because I didn't find it necessary, you know, to be a part of this narrative. But there's this whole part about him being a ninja, training under a rat with his brothers. Here again, Drebel demonstrated his inventions when, in 1611, Rudolf II was stripped of all effective power by his younger brother, Archduke Matthias. No reason, like, there's no why for that. It's just, that's how it was. Wow, we have a lot of people here. Hope a lot of people agree with the whole fuck Israel sentiment. Fuck everything Israel. Okay? Fuck the Jews, fuck Israel. We need to band together to stop these genocidal maniacs who are actually behind this. This whole bullshit narrative that we're given is a Jewish creation. So it all fits together. You know, if you want the answers to all of these questions and you want to know this stuff, then we have to overthrow the Jews that control the narrative. Literally have family that serve on and have been on a submarine. You sure there ain't no subs? Yes, 100%. I'm 100% sure. I know if you have people that are supposedly in the military, well, those military people will tell you anything they're told to tell you. And if you think that you have more control, more influence over these people that they will tell you the truth, you're fool. You're a fool. You've been fooled. Military people do and say as they're told to say. If they tell you that they were on a submarine, then that's what it is. But I just showed you a video. You weren't here. You could go watch the previous video, or you can go watch this afterwards or whatever. But I showed you a video that supposedly, here, I'll even show you guys again, because I want you guys to see this. Most people have no clue that what I did the best way to make money on was with physical products. I with all the risk in the world, right? I look up submarines in action on YouTube, which means there should be all sorts of videos that come up and show submarines actually working, right? You'll see. Joseph P. Holland, inventor of modern submarine. I'm telling you what it says. So if you think you're wrong or you think you're right, go right ahead. Greetings from Germany. Go Trump. You're dumb. There you go. So what's your argument on me being on one and submerging? Well, one, we just have to sort of trust you. And two, just because it went down below the surface of the water doesn't mean you went swimming through the ocean like a fucking, a fighter jet or something like that. Just because it goes down, I've been on a glass bottom boat before. But here you go. So to prove myself wrong, I look up submarines in action, which should have plenty of interest, plenty of information there. It should show me. And the page is Eagle Eye Military, and the title is U.S. Navy Submarine in Action, right? So this is as official as it gets, right? So all you're going to see is pictures of boats. Just boats floating across the water. Now we're going to see the inside. Now we got more boats. Boats, 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 boats. Nothing goes underwater, boats. But we're going to get to the best part. I'm going to fast forward to the best part. This is the best part, right? So what you have here is, this is supposedly the control crew in the control room, right? Notice how, I don't know if any of you have ever been on a boat or on a train or anything like that, but when you're inside something that's moving, you can feel it. It affects you. You do that shit all the time, especially on a boat. These guys are in a submarine, and none of them are even moving a little bit.
So, you hit a squirrel, you don't necessarily feel it in the car.
Yeah, you do.
But you hit a dog or a raccoon or a skunk.
You absolutely feel the squirrel. But if you hit something much bigger, you're going to feel it. So look, this is the control room where none of these guys are moving, right? And now it flashes to this Atari 2600 bullshit. Here's the crew members in the thing. They're not moving at all. They're about to hit ice that's like 4 feet thick. Look at how they react. Wow, that impact sure did shake them around a lot, didn't it? They just supposedly busted through ice. And at no point did their heads move. Did they? Whoa! That's real? You believe that's real? Oh, here we go. This guy's going to keep saying nonsense, right? The internet is not a tell-all, my man, and if it's submerged, it's hence name sub. No, that's just a boat. A boat that can go under the water is a submersible. It's not a submarine. A submarine is said to be going around all over the place. Read a real encyclopedia. The internet is false most of the time. The internet is false most of the time. So I've already shown you guys. See, look at the desperation people come at me with, right? Wikipedia is an official source. They're not going to let everybody edit Wikipedia. I've already shown you guys. If you were here earlier, I showed you what happens when someone like me tries to edit Wikipedia. It says the IP address is blocked globally, blah, 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 bullshit. So not everybody can just edit Wikipedia, and they can't have it be that way, because when kids have to do reports on shit like that, they're going to go look up Wikipedia, and they need to have some official narratives. So this is what I'm reading, you guys. You can get as upset as you want about it. If it doesn't make sense, that's just on you. We're reading about Cornelius Drebbel. So 1610 and Drebbel. Here again, Drebbel demonstrated his Archduke Drebbel was imprisoned for about a year. After Rudolph's death in 1612, Drebbel was set free and went back to London, as people do back then. They just pack up and move how they want. Unfortunately, oh wait, let's see. So you're saying that everything that entered the U.S. into World War I is a hoax? A U-boat is a ship that sunk the passenger liner Lusitania. No, I I absolutely think most of what you think about World War II isn't true. Just like World War I. Both of those were about Israel. That's what the main goal in the world wars was. It always is. And I think, yes, you're lied to a whole bunch. Like how the Nazis, all the Nazis were rounded up and distributed and given new lives in Operation Paperclip. Like, yeah, it's all fake, but why would they do that? Why would that even make sense? You know, it's because it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit narratives. The whole idea of the Holocaust, when supposedly 6 million Jews died, which they didn't, that's a whole bunch more bullshit. It wasn't even close to the worst thing happening at the same time. Stalin and the Bolshevik Jews were killing 25 to 30 million Christians at the time, but nobody talks about that. Mao killed as many as 100 million of his own people, at least according to the narrative. What's his name? The Belgian guy. Leopold killed like 50 million Africans. We don't talk about that, but 6 million Jews, that's the big one. Stupid. Dude, you're a mental. Again, these guys are mad because I'm reading official information. How desperate do you have to be to act like I'm making this stuff up? Like, I didn't just show you the video. That's the Navy. It's the Navy sub. Like, that's the information. That's the best proof I could find. I looked up submarines in action, and that's the first video that pops up. And not a single bit of it shows anything like that. Submarines in area. I live in Connecticut where they build them. I see many. You see them building boats. You see boats that most of the boat can maybe go underwater a little bit, but not all of it, and it can't go traveling through the ocean swimming like a fucking fish. He lives with his mom, says God's blessing. The guy that's name is God's blessing is going to come in here like a typical douchebag. I build propulsion shafts for submarines. Isn't it amazing how if I go live and I say I want to talk about Israel, I want to talk about, religion. I want to talk about politics. I want to talk about any of these things. I can't find any of those people. I go live for 30 minutes about submarines, and suddenly I've got all these people who are supposedly submarine builders and architects, and gosh, that is amazing how well that worked out this time. You realize the difference between a submarine and a submersible is that submarines are meant for war. No, that's not the definition of it. Submarines are not meant for war. Submersibles are things that can go underneath the water's surface. Submarines are said to be able to go all over the place. They can move all around. I just read it, you dumbass. Oh, now you're denying one of the most documented genocides in history. It's not. Thank you for saying that. The World Census report prior to the war said there were 15 million Jews worldwide. During the war, the number went up to 16 to 17, and after the war, there were 18 million. There were no 6 million lost. They don't even go with that anymore. Like over in Germany and shit, they say it's closer to 3 million now. And it's not even that. They weren't even, it's all bullshit. The Red Cross was stationed all throughout the supposed concentration camps, and none of them reported anything like that. There are specific amounts of energy required to be able to, like, bodies don't just catch fire. You have to have specific amounts of energy in specific situations to burn bodies. And you definitely can't just stack them 3 on top of each other so they burn thrice as fast. And there's no records of that much energy being used in anything like that. These are work camps. We had the same thing here. We had the Japanese internment camps at the exact same time. We had the same thing. Why would you, if you're planning on killing people, why would you build these elaborate camps that are heated, that have water, electricity? They're allowed to have their own soccer teams, their own theater groups. They have money. If you're planning on killing these people, why would you do all that? It's just stupid. It's a stupid narrative. You know the best part? You know my favorite part is? We're told that the Jews, as stupid as they are, we're told that they were to identify themselves by wearing a patch or an armband. So they did. So they did. They didn't think to take that shit off and just pretend and escape. They're so smart. They were like, no, yeah, that's me. How come during the time nobody was talking about all these missing Jews? Nobody was like, man, there sure were a lot more of those mean-ass people around here before. Where'd they all go? It's all bullshit. It's all a bullshit narrative. How come so many of us have relatives that were supposed concentration camp survivors?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he's crazy for making unsupported claims just to get YouTube interactions. Report him for misinformation and move on. Yeah, what's misinformation? How come these idiots always do that? How come these idiots can never actually talk about what I'm getting wrong? They just say things like that. And they encourage people not to follow, not to watch. They encourage people to stop the conversation. I know I'm confident in what I'm saying, so I say it, and I encourage you to tell me what I'm wrong about. How come they don't do the same thing? If you're right and you're confident in what you're saying is right, you shouldn't encourage people to not ask questions. You should be telling people what they're getting wrong. Calling us idiots, well, you are. You are. Especially once you choose to believe something that is proven idiotic or stupid or something along those lines. Yeah. When you choose to believe something like religion, you know, the Abrahamic Jewish cult that is pushed on you guys Christianity, or you choose to believe that shit without looking into why you believe it, that's pretty idiotic. You are trying to rewrite history single-handedly. Completely absurd. Yep, I'm trying to rewrite history single-handedly. By reading the information they want you to know, by knowing more than you do, I'm trying to rewrite history. Gotcha. Bro, cannot be still. Look at how desperate you are. Again, why don't? Because you're clearly trying to hone in on things you think are negative. So me not standing still is something that you're clearly paying attention to the video. So if you can focus in on that thing you think is wrong, why don't you focus in on something that I'm actually saying that's wrong? Guys, I think he was talking to Walter White this morning. LOL. Ha ha. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys coming in and proving the point for me. Anyway, let's go back to the submarines. Unfortunately, his patron Prince Henry had also died, and Drebel was in financial trouble. With his glass grinding machine, he manufactured optical instruments and compound microscopes with 2 convex lenses for which there was a constant demand, and yet he was still in financial trouble. He was the guy making microscopes. Amazing. This guy is as polymath as it gets. No negative stating facts, no interest in proving anyone wrong. Yep. You're not interested in proving anyone wrong, yet you're here and consistently commenting dumb shit. Like, do you understand what a child you sound like when you say that? When I point out that you're doing something and you go, no, I'm not here to prove anything wrong. Then what are you doing, you doofus? He's not on anything. He's manic and misinformed. Yep, manic and misinformed. That must be it. It's that damn Wikipedia. Always making crazy people. He's kind of suspicious. It's just a bit of annoying that you move so much it feels like I'm on a London bin spinning wheel during a hurricane. So, you don't watch videos where people are moving? You only watch things where people stand still. I hope you like no action flicks, nothing like that. That's pretty strange, isn't it? I guess if you want a distraction, you have one. If the one thing you want to focus on is me not standing still instead of the things I'm saying, I guess you can do that. Who's going to stop you, right? You'd think you'd want to actually prove me wrong, but sure. At the request of the Roman German Emperor Ferdinand II in 1619, he went to Prague again to tutor his sons and was taken prisoner after the Battle of White Mountain and the capture of Prague in 1620, where he also lost his fortune again. In 1622, Constantin Huygens. Oh, what is Constantin Huygens from? I know that name. Was a composer. No, he did something else. What the fuck did he do? I remember this name from something.
Probably an archaeologist and veterinarian.
A stadtholder, whatever that is, a poet, a composer, and an architect. Yep, there you go. But he's from the Huygens. I can't remember what that shit was. Oh, I think these guys are... Constantine was born in The Hague, second son of Christian Huygens, right? Council of the State. Musical education, but doesn't... Early career... You know, all the cocaine. I'm gonna keep blowing it out of my nose. What's to do with cocaine? Mm-hmm. Man, I can't find why I know this guy. Yeah, like I remember this picture. Don't you remember that? Mm-hmm. What the fuck is this from? Despite his death, Orange family, Order of St. Michael, correspondence. Huh, I can't think of what it is. Lazy. Good Friday.
Crazy Dave.
I don't know. Let's see. What's your purpose as a YouTuber? Anyway, tune in. When do you think so? Why do you think submarines aren't real? I'm reading it. Goof. Did he just say he was doing cocaine? Yes, I did. Lots of it. Oh, and became a prominent Dutch mathematician and scientist. I think Huygens probably had to do with the telescope. I think that's what it might have been. The English natural philosopher Robert Hooke may have learned the art of glass grinding right from his acquaintances Johannes Stitzberg Kuffler, the son-in-law of Drebel. Oh, okay. Towards the end of his life, in 1633, Drebel was involved in a plan to drain fens around Cambridge while living in near poverty running an alehouse in England. He died in London. In keeping with traditional Mennonite practice, Drebel's estate was split between his 4 living children at the time of his death. Works. Chemistry. Optics. Compound. Okay. So he's known for Drebel was an empirical researcher and innovator. His constructions and innovations cover measurement and control technology, pneumatics, optics, chemistry, hydraulics, and pyrotechnics. He registered several patents with the Dutch Staten General. He also wrote essays on his experiments with air pressure and made beautiful engravings, including the Severin Liberal Arts on the map of the city of Alkmaar. He was also involved in making theater props, moving statues, and in plans to build a new theater in London. Gotta love those moving statues we always hear about in history class. He worked on producing torpedoes, naval mines, detonators that used glass Bavarian tears, and worked on fulminating gold as an explosive. He was known for his perpetuum mobile, built an incubator for eggs, and a portable stove oven with an optimal use of fuel, able to keep the heat of a constant temperature by means of a regulator thermostat. Do you guys understand what's being said here? This guy is, he's all over the place. Naval mines, making gold into an explosive, making incubators for eggs, a portable stove. He designed a solar energy system for London, perpetual fire. What the fuck? Demonstrated air conditioning, made lightning and thunder on command, and developed fountains and a fresh water supply for the city of Middelburg. Why have you not heard of this man? Lightning and thunder on command? Are you kidding me? Submarines aren't real. Yeah. He's reading bullshit. I'm reading bullshit I edited on Wiki. Because, again, now, we'll show you dumbasses for the fun of it. Here's the chemistry thing. Edit. Okay. Edit without logging in. I'm going to click backspace, so now we know. Publish my edit. Oh, error. Edit not published. This IP address range has been globally blocked. This does not affect your ability to read Wikipedia pages. Most people who see this message have done nothing wrong. Some kinds of blocks restrict editing from specific service providers or telecom companies in response to recent abuse or vandalism, and can sometimes affect the users who are unrelated to that abuse. Review the information below for assistance if you do not believe you have done anything wrong. This address was blocked by Amanda NP for the following: due to abuse from this IP range, anonymous logged out editing has been temporarily blocked. Please refer to the guide below. This block will expire on January 15, 2026 at 4:39 p.m. Because I can just read what I'm editing. Oh, he already said that he's doing lots of cocaine right now. That's what I said. Yep, blow makes sense. All of you idiots, like when you start talking like that, it shows how little actual experience you have. Somebody that's snorting cocaine doesn't blow their nose. They blow all the coke out if they do. You dumbass. You do realize how big subs are, and Navy sailors definitely feel motion. They are strapped in when driving or surfacing. Come on, man. Why are you so angry? Yep, I'm so angry. So it makes total sense that because they're strapped in, when they go crashing through the surface of the ice that's 4 or 5 feet thick, that there's no motion at all. Gotcha. That makes sense. You're right. Chemistry. Drebel's most... Oh, wait. We haven't even finished this one. He is known for the perpetual mobile thermostat. He designed a solar energy system, air conditioning. He was involved in the draining of the moors around Cambridge, developed predecessors of the barometer and thermometer, and harpsichord that played on solar energy. This is the 1600s. Look at me making all of this up. Drebel's most famous written work was In Court In Haarlem, 1621, a short treatise on the nature of elements. He was also involved in the invention of mercury fulminate. He also discovered that mixtures of spiritus vini with mercury and silver in aquis fortis could explode. Drebel invented a chicken incubator and a mercury thermostat, which automatically kept it stable at a constant temperature. One of the first recorded feedback controller devices. That's that. He also developed and demonstrated a working air conditioning system. The invention of a working thermometer is also credited to Drebel. This is the 1600s. The story goes that while making a colored liquid for a thermostat or a thermometer, Cornelius dropped a flask of aqua regina on a tin windowsill and discovered that stannous chloride made the color of carmine much brighter and more durable. Although Cornelius did not make much money from his work, his daughters Anna and Katharina and his son-in-law Abraham and Jonas Sebrus Kuffler set up a very successful dye works. One was set up in 1643 in Bow, London, and the resulting color was called Bow dye. The recipe for color Cufferanius was kept a family secret, and the new bright red color was very popular in Europe. You're a mental case, says God's blessing. God's blessing is always so nice. Optics, 1600. Drebel is credited with developing an automatic precision lens grinding machine, improved telescopes, the first compound microscope, camera obscura, lantern magica, and Dutch or Bavarian tears. That's pretty crazy. He's just quite the inventor then, isn't he? One of the optical devices some historians believe Drebel invented when he was working for the Duke of Buckingham was the compound microscope. The device appeared in Europe around 1620. Fuck yeah! Why wouldn't there be a documented history of the microscope being invented, but there is about where this guy lived throughout his life? The device appeared in around 1620, with the earliest accounts being Dutch ambassador Willem Borrell's 1619 visit to London, where he saw a compound microscope in Drebel's possession, described as an instrument about 18 inches long, 2 inches in diameter, and supported on 3 brass dolphins. Stop! Okay, wait. Have you watched it yet today?
No.
Okay, so wait. So it's his turn to pick. It's okay if you get an hour or so in it, and that's it. You know what? That's fair. 1 disc. So what? In 1621, Drebel had a compound microscope with 2 convex lenses. Several of his contemporaries, including Christian Huygens, credit the invention of the compound microscope to Drebel. Okay, that's why I know him. Yeah. No, he's not, because he doesn't want to get in trouble. The invention has many counterclaims, including Dutch spectacle maker Jonas Zachariassen's claim that Drebel stole the idea from him and his father, Zacharias Janssen. Why would they have different names? And claims that Galileo Galilei used his telescope after 1610 as a type of compound microscope. In 1624, Galileo saw Drebel's design for a microscope in Rome and created an improved version of it to send to Federico Sisi, founder of the Accademia di Lincei, which used it to illustrate Aparium, his book about bees. That makes sense. So, this is the first navigable submarine. So, you don't think this guy has anything to do with submarines? Well, this is apparently the painting that's made about him. See, you're going to look at the submarine, right? And you're going to think all about the submarine. But I always get drawn to the backgrounds of the paintings. Look at the fucking background. This is in 16 something, maybe even 15 something. Who built all that shit? What were they using to build those giant fucking cathedrals out of marble and shit back then? Please, somebody tell me. Oh, here is the wooden version. Let me see. Reconstruction of the Drebel, Richmond upon Thames. In 2002, the British boat builder Mark Edwards built a wooden submarine based on the original version by Drebel. It was shown on the BBC TV program Building the Impossible, 2002. So that's supposedly what it was. So how in the fuck would anybody even come close to seeing out of this thing? And where would they get their air from? I'm a mental case. I know, I'm crazy. I'm just reading what you're supposed to know. He also built the first... So remember when the Tom Holland guy was like, duh. Here, let me see what he said. I know it started with duh. Let's see. This is before he said he's not interested in proving people wrong. A nuclear sub can be submerged very deep for as long as food and supplies. Yup. And they just make their own air. Oh, where's the one? Where is it? John Philip Holland invented the modern submarine, said the guy. Same guy, right? So now we're talking about this guy, who is Cornelius Drebel. Also built the first navigable submarine in 1620, which, you know, totally makes sense. You know, the hut people of those days were obviously figuring out ways to travel underwater. He built the first navigable submarine in 1620 while working for the English Royal Navy. He manufactured a steerable submarine with a leather-covered wooden frame. Yeah? That's what made it able to go underwater then, huh? That leather covering. He manufactured a steerable submarine with a leather-covered wooden frame. Between 1620 and 1624, Drebel successfully built and tested 2 more submarines, each one bigger than the last. The final, third model, had 6 oars and could carry 16 passengers. This model was demonstrated to King James in person and several thousand Londoners. The submarine stayed submerged for 3 hours and could travel from Westminster to Greenwich and back, cruising at a depth between 12 and 15 feet. You're kidding me. How were they breathing? How were they seeing? How did they not scrape across the bottom? Like, there's no big things sticking out that they might have rubbed up against or anything. Do you understand how insane this story is? Because I'm making it up, right? You can't always trust Wikipedia. You're right. So Wikipedia, not just that they might have a fact or two wrong, they've completely lied about this story just so I could pretend like I honestly do think it's a lie, but they completely lied and made up, and they're telling us it's fake and you can't trust it. You can trust the random troll that comes in here and tells me I'm wrong, but you can't trust that I'm reading what Wikipedia wants you to know. Gotcha. Drebel even took King James in this submarine on a test drive beneath the Thames, making King James the first monarch to travel underwater. This submarine was tested many times in the Thames, but it couldn't attract enough enthusiasm from the Admiralty and was never used in combat. What sense does that even begin to make? You have a secret boat that can travel underwater, and that's not going to give you a military advantage? Come on! I'm a mental case. Prove me wrong. Oh, I guess that's that, because I want to know more about submarines, but that's
all you get?
That's all I get. So let's go back then, because is there any blue shit I can... Nope, nothing I can click on there regarding submarines. So we'll go back one. Cornelius Drebbel, the inventor of the submarine. So now we're just back to the regular submarine page. God, it's so stupid. It really is. So this is what's inside a submarine. It's so dumb. Although experimental submarines had been built earlier, even earlier than fucking Drebbel. Wait, what? Submarines referred to as boats are referred to as boats rather than ships regardless of their size. Although experimental submarines had been built earlier, submarine design took off during the 19th century, and submarines were adopted by several navies. Right. So, this is where we get that after reset sort of thing. Where at some point we go from leather-covered wooded submarines to somehow they can now build these amazing subs. Now here we go. It's going to get exciting now, you guys. They were first used widely during World War I, 1914 to 1918, and are now used in many navies, large and small. Their military uses include attacking enemy surface ships, merchant and military, or other submarines. You know, again, it's like the whole concept of dogfights. I always think that's just silly. That there are people flying around in planes, and they're shooting at each other, and like, that's just silly. And then to think they're doing that with submarines in the water too? Sure they are. Aircraft carrier protection, blockade running, nuclear deterrence, stealth operations in denied areas where gathering intelligence and doing reconnaissance, denying or influencing enemy movements, conventional land attacks, for example, launching a cruise missile, and covert insertion of frogmen or special forces. Their civilian uses include marine science, salvage, exploration, and faculty inspection and maintenance. I do think we have those little tiny submersible things that go like down deep and are attached to the top by a thing that, they have the hose attached that pumps the air through and shit. I think that shit might exist. But I don't think these giant fucking torpedo tube looking subs exist. No. Submarines can be modified for specialized functions such as search and rescue missions and undersea capable repair. They are also used in tourism industry and the undersea archaeology. Modern deep diving submarines derive from the bathyscaphe, which evolved from the diving bell. What is the bathyscaphe?
Never heard of it.
A bathyscaphe is a free-diving, self-propelled deep-sea submersible consisting of a crew cabin similar to a bathysphere, but suspended below a float rather than from a surface cable, as in the classic bathysphere design. This is the Trieste in 1958. The float is filled with gasoline because it is readily available, buoyant, and, for all practical purposes, incompressible. The incompressibility of the gasoline means the tanks can be very lightly constructed, since the pressure inside and outside the tanks equalizes, eliminating any differential. By contrast, the crew cabin must withstand a huge pressure differential and is massively built. Buoyancy at the surface can be trimmed easily by replacing gasoline in the tanks with water because water has a greater density. Auguste Piccard, inventor of the first bathyscaphe, composed the name bathyscaphe, I don't know how to say it, using the ancient Greek words Bathos meaning deep, and Scaphos meaning vessel ship. History of development. The first bathyscaphe was dubbed FNRS-2, named after Fonds National de la Recherche Scientifique, and built in Belgium from 1946 to 1948 by Auguste Piccard. That FNRS-1 had been the balloon used for Piccard's ascent into the stratosphere in 1938. Propulsion was provided by battery-driven electric motors. The float held 37,850 liters, 10,000 gallons of aviation gasoline. There was no access tunnel. The sphere had to be loaded and unloaded while on deck. The first journeys were detailed in Jacques Cousteau's book, The Silent World. As described in the book, the vessel had serenely endured the pressure of the depths, but had been destroyed in a minor squall. FNRS-3 was a new submersible using a crew sphere from the damaged FNRS-2 and a new larger 75,700 liter, 20,000 US gallon float. Piccard's second bathyscaphe was actually a third vessel, Trieste, which was purchased by the U.S. Navy from Italy in 1957. It had 2 water ballast tanks and 11 buoyancy tanks holding 32,000 gallons of gasoline. I don't understand what they're for, though. It's a deep water cabin? So it's like a cabin that just floats there underwater, that just sits there? That's... Okay, accomplishments. The 1960 Trieste, carrying Piccard's son Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh, reached the deepest point on Earth's surface, the Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench in the Ocean Pacific. The onboard systems indicated a depth of 37,800 feet, but this was later corrected to 35,813 feet by taking into account variations arising from salinity and temperature. What? That's stupid. Later, and more accurate measurements made in 1995 found the Challenger Deep to be slightly shallower at 35,798 feet. The crew of the Trieste... So it's like their whole claim to whatever they were saying is false. So why would any of it be true? The crew of the Trieste was equipped with a powerful light, noted that the seafloor consisted of diatomaceous ooze, and reported observing some type of flat fish resembling a sole about 1 foot long and 6 inches across, lying on the seabed. This put to rest the question of whether or not there was life at such a depth in the complete absence of light, which you would assume if you shined a light on them would like burn them, right? If they've never experienced light, that would hurt,
Yes.
especially their eyes.
Well, we saw it with our neighbor that had the albino child. You know, where she couldn't go out. She had glasses on and she was all covered up.
Most large submarines consist of a cylindrical body with hemispherical or conical ends and a vertical structure usually located amidships, which houses communications and sensing devices as well as periscopes. So communications and sensing devices as well as periscopes are in that top thing that they use to crack through the ice. Doesn't that seem dumb? What happens if you do crack through the ice and like a shard of it doesn't crack just right and it slices down the middle of the thing and then your sub is just sort of stuck there? Or is that just not possible? In modern subs, this structure is called the sail in American usage and fin in European usage. A feature of earlier designs was the conning tower, or conning tower, a separate pressure hull above the main body of the boat that enabled the use of shorter periscopes. There is a propeller or pump jet at the rear and various hydrodynamic control fins. Hydrodynamic, sorry. Smaller deep diving and specialty submarines may deviate significantly from this traditional design. Right. Every time you see anything that we're told is a submarine or like anything like that, it's like a bubble. It's got little thing. It looks nothing like military tubes. Submarines dive and resurface by using diving planes and by changing the amount of water and air in ballast tanks to affect their buoyancy. How could they change the amount of air? Unless you're pushing the air out, which then you don't have access to.
Right. That's the only way I was thinking, is push it out.
But then you could only do it so many times.
Well, I guess you could hook a vacuum up and suck it out. You know how you do with a Ziploc? Make a little space and then close it?
No. Okay, so if you had a Ziploc, a balloon full of air, and you had it connected to like a straw and another balloon full of air, you couldn't move the air out of this balloon into that balloon and then this balloon would be okay and it wouldn't float. You know, you're still gonna have to push that air. The air can't go nowhere. It has to go somewhere. So either they're purging themselves of all their breathable air so they can sink, which wouldn't make any sense because how would they breathe then? How does that make sense? And then to go back up, you would have to have more air. So where would you pull that air from to pull yourself back up? Your ballast tanks or whatever, they fill them with water so the thing goes down, but then you push the water out and then suddenly how? That don't make no sense.
Push the air first because it's denser than air.
But it has to go somewhere. If you're in some sort of tube, you can't fill in air. But there's already air in the tube. You can't pull water into that tube and that air is just not going to go anywhere. That air still has to be accounted for.
Right.
Like when you're filling up a bottle and you have to put the straw of the bottle in the bottle and you're, oh shit, and the top of the liquid, you thought there was enough room, but then the straw goes in and the liquid comes out. Displacement. It's displacement.
Displacement, yes.
Right. Well, you're in a tube. So you fill the ballast with water. Well, where does the air that was in those ballasts go? And now you're saying, so it's a vacuum? And then you push that water out? Well, then how does it remake the vacuum? Like, it just doesn't work. Submarines encompass a wide range of types and capabilities. They range from small, autonomous examples, such as 1 or 2 person subs that operate for a few hours, to vessels that can remain submerged for 6 months, such as the Russian Typhoon class, the biggest submarines ever built. Submarines can work at a depths that are greater than what is practical or even survivable for human divers. We're going to go with history before we go to that Russian sub. The word submarine means underwater or undersea, as in submarine canyon, submarine pipeline. Though as a noun it generally refers to a vessel that can travel underwater. The term is a contraction of a submarine boat and occurs as such in several languages, e.g. French. I don't give a shit. These details. This is the the etymology. Okay, I don't care about that. Okay, human-powered submersibles. Here we go again. According to a report in Ophilicus Opusculum Taisneri, published in 1562, 2 Greeks submerged and surfaced in the river Tagus near the city of Toledo several times in the presence of the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V without getting wet and with the flame they carried in their hands still all right. These guys have flames inside of submarines back in the 1500s?
Mm-hmm.
God, that's fucking nuts. In 1578, the English mathematician William Bourne recorded in his book Inventions or Devices one of the first plans for an underwater navigational vehicle, or underwater navigation vehicle. A few years later, the Scottish mathematician and theologian John Napier wrote in his Secret Inventions 1596 that these inventions, besides devices of sailing, SAYLING, underwater with divers, other devices and stratagems for harming of the enemies by the grace of God, and work with an E on it, of experiment craftsmen I hope to perform. Or of expert craftsmen I hope to perform. It is unclear whether he carried out this idea. What idea? It just reminded me of the other guy who made thunder and lightning on command. How did he make thunder and lightning on command?
I don't know.
He seems like a fascinating fella that I'd like to know more about. Geronimo de Ians Y. Beaumont. It's amazing how the name Geronimo, the Native Americans had the same name for some reason. 1553 to 1613, created detailed design for 2 types of air-renovated submersible vehicles. They were equipped with oars, autonomous floating snorkels, worked by inner pumps, portholes, and gloves used for the crew to manipulate underwater objects. Aans planned to use them for warfare, using them to approach enemy ships undetected and set up timed gunpowder charges on their hulls. You guys this is crazy. The first submersible of whose construction there exists reliable information was designed and built in 1620 by Cornelius Drebbel, a Dutchman in the service of James I of England. It was propelled by means of oars. How could they see? How could they see where they were going? How could they see inside the submarine? It was a wooden submarine with a leather casing. Couldn't have had too many flame lights in there. And flames eat up oxygen, so how were they breathing? You can't, the thing about this is you can't find that part. I can't find information on how they breathe in submarines. By the mid-18th century, over a dozen patents for submarine submersible boats had been granted in England. In 1747, Nathaniel Symonds patented and built the first known working example of the use of a ballast tank for submersion. His design used leather bags that could fill with water to submerge the craft. A mechanism was used to twist the water out of the bags and cause the boat to resurface. What a mechanism that had to be. In 1749, the Gentleman's Magazine reported that a similar design had initially been proposed by Giovanni Borilli in 1680. Further design improvements stagnated for over a century until application of new technologies for propulsion and stability. Oh yeah, I forgot about that stability part. So, we just sort of yada yada. These guys had successful submarines in the 1500s, and then nobody thought that was a good idea or worth looking into or anything like that for another 100 years. Gotcha. The first military submersible was Turtle in 1775. So this is where you get like failure after failure. Watch, this is funny. A hand-powered acorn-shaped device designed by American David Bushnell to accommodate a single person. It was the first verified submarine capable of independent water operation and movement, and the first to use screws for propulsion. Here, let's look up Turtle real quick. Oh, well, there you go. That's it. No, that makes sense. 1775. Here's the written design. So, as you can see, they still don't show it going underwater, right? You can still see the air holes at the top are above the water.
Right.
There's no submarine there. It's just something that's below the surface of the water.
Well, that was the first one. They had to work up to it. My God.
Oh, here you go. Bushnell's Turtle. So this is him. Notice how he's in a suit. You know, because when you're going underwater, you want to be dressed to the nines. So he works the pump with his foot. He turns the propeller with his right hand. And I guess his butt cheeks use the rudder. Do you see that? The rudder is attached to his butt cheeks. There's a safety weight on the bottom. There's a detachable mine, attaching screw, vertical screw for submerging. That is dumb as shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it looked like from the outside. And again, his head is sticking out of the top. That top part is where his head is sticking out of. Look at here's the design from the inside. He's using the the rudder. Look at the rudder. How's he steering? Look at how's he steering with the rudder.
His ass?
With his butt cheeks, yes. That is fantastic, you guys. I'm a crazy ass psychopath. Oh, here's a more modern design. Look at that. Oh, look at how believable that looks. So you're telling me you wouldn't see that big top part just floating at you in the water and think, hey, there's something wrong there? Those are the snorkels. It had two snorkels. So two snorkels shaped like that. I mean, this thing only works in like the smoothest waters possible, right? Because those snorkels would be filling up with water every time a wave came through. The main attachment screw, or the mine attachment screw. The vertical propeller. The water pump. The front propeller. I'd love to see someone build this thing today. I would love to see it and see it work. Oh. Oh my God. That is so stupid. Oh. So wait, is it that one? Because that says Bushnell's Turtle, or is it that one? Because that looks like a completely different thing. Or is it that one? Big snorkels at the top. Oh, here's another one. Is it that one? Which one was it? Oh man, that was fucking funny. The Turtle was the first submersible vessel with a documented record of use in combat. Ooh. It was built in 1775 by American David Bushnell as a means of attaching explosive charges to ships in a harbor for use against the Royal Navy during the American Revolutionary War. Connecticut Governor Jonathan Trumbull recommended the invention to George Washington, who provided funds and support for the development and testing of the machine. Okay, so it was laid down in 1775, launched in 1775, commissioned in 1775, in service in 1775 and 1776, and its fate was unknown. So are we trying to say that this guy just fucking did, like, he got it right? Let's see who David Bushnell was. Oh, we got a big biography here. August 1840 to 1824 or 1826. Don't know. Of Westbrook, Connecticut, was an American inventor, a patriot, a teacher, and a medical doctor. Oh my God. Bushnell invented the first submarine to be used in battle, Turtle, as well as a floating mine triggered by contact. He was a veteran of the Revolutionary War. David Bushnell was born in a secluded part of Saybrook, Connecticut on August 30th, 1740, and baptized in 1753 into a farming family in what is now Westbrook, Connecticut, where his parents, Nehemiah Bushnell and Sarah Susan Ingham Bushnell, owned a farm. Right. Where do you think he learned about submarines and shit? Right? I mean, it was clearly from his super religious farmer parents. His mom probably taught him everything he knew. He was the first of 5 children born. Following the death of his father circa 1769, he sold his half interest in the family Westbrook farm to his brother Ezra, who entered Yale College in 1771 at the relatively old age of 31. Well, there you go. Got that skull and bones connection. Bushnell is credited with creating the first submarine ever used in combat while studying at Yale in 1775. He called it Turtle because of its look in the water. His idea of using water as ballast for submerging and raising a submarine is still in use, as is the screw propeller, which was used in Turtle. While at Yale, Bushnell proved that gunpowder could be exploded underwater. Nobody knew that before that? He used this knowledge not only in construction of the underwater mine, but later in creating floating torpedoes that exploded on contact. Working with the wealthy New Haven inventor, clockmaker, and brass foundryman Isaac Doolittle, he also co-developed the first mechanically triggered time bomb, as well as one of the first ship's propeller. He combined these ideas by building Turtle, which was designed to attack ships by attaching a time bomb to their hulls, while using a ham-powered drill and ship auger bit to penetrate the hulls. So not only do the people not notice the weird turtle acorn thing coming up, they don't notice that it's drilling into their ship and attaching a bomb. A time bomb, because they had time bombs back then. That could get wet and shit and still work. Gotcha. On September 7th, 1776, Turtle manned by Sergeant Ezra Lee. Wow, we've got another Ezra. Because ChatGPT doesn't like reusing the same names over and over again. Of the Continental Army, was used to attack the British 64-gun ship of the line HMS Eagle, which was moored in New York Harbor. However, Turtle's attack failed. So, all this buildup to find out that the first submarine ever used in combat failed. And of course, this is going to be before the yada yada really skips. Turtle was lost while being transported aboard a sloop. The sloop was discovered and sunk by British frigates leaving Bloomingdale. That's that. After peace was declared, he returned to Connecticut, where he lived until 1887, when he abruptly moved to France. Did I say 1887? I'm sorry, I meant 1787.
They didn't even figure out a bridge till 100 years later.
Where they abruptly moved to France. Because, you know, back then, boats going from New York to France were, like, pretty consistent. His activities in France are unknown, although it has been speculated that he may have collaborated with inventor Robert Fulton in developing a design for a submarine. In 1803, Bushnell settled in Warrenton, Georgia, under the pseudonym David Bush. He taught at the Warrenton Academy and practiced medicine. He died in Warrenton in 1824. What? He lived in Connecticut until 1787, when he abruptly moved to France, where nobody knows what happened except maybe he worked with Fulton on developing a submarine. But in 1803, he moved to Warrenton, Georgia, and changed his name to David Bush for some reason, where he taught at the Warrenton Academy and practiced medicine, dying in 1824. What?
No.
Why would that be a thing? It's like suddenly how I have 9 viewers and I've had, you know, in the teens most of the time and all that, and nobody's saying anything except these dumb fucking fools that keep proving me right. I mean, again, I think the average person, like your brother, is going to think I'm crazy because I question the narrative. But it's like, dude, you think this guy moved to France in 1787, where he stayed for 26 years until he moved back to Warrenton, Georgia, where he went from Connecticut at first to now he's in Georgia, where he got a job at the academy and practiced medicine and then died in 1824? Like, that doesn't seem suspicious to other people. Several attempts were made using Turtle to affix explosives to the underside of British warships in the New York Harbor in 1776. All failed, and her transport ship was sunk later that year by the British in a submarine with the submarine aboard. Bushnell claimed eventually to have recovered the machine, but its final fate is unknown. Modern replicas of Turtle have been constructed and are on display in the Connecticut River Museum, the U.S. Navy Submarine Force Liberty and Museum, the Royal Navy Submarine Museum, and the International Spy Museum, and the Oceanographic Museum in Monaco. All of which don't look the same. They each, like you'd think they'd all have the same fucking design, but they don't. Development: the American inventor David Bushnell made the idea of the submersible vessel for use in lifting the British naval blockade during the American War of Independence. Like this, it's really crazy that this story even persists until 2024. It sounds like it was a total failure. So why would this be a story about a failure that failed, and then we just forgot about it for 100 years, and then we somehow figured it back out? Like, to think that David Bushnell, his failure, the notes of his failure, were somehow kept in some sort of archive for 100 years until somebody else was like, oh, hey, it's 1840. Remember that David Bushnell guy in the turtle thing? Let's try that again. Like, what? That doesn't make sense. Who was keeping those records for all that time? Bushnell may have begun studying underwater explosions while at Yale College. By early 1775, he had created a reliable method for detonating underwater explosives, a clockwork connected to a musket firing mechanism, probably adapted for the purpose. Why would, like, it's just funny how certain aspects of history seem to have survived, but then certain little details, they don't, for some reason. After the battles of Lexington and Concord in April 1775, Bushnell began work near Old Saybrook on a small, individually manned submersible designed to attach an explosive charge to the hull of an enemy ship, which he wrote Benjamin Franklin, which he wrote. Okay, explosive charge to the hull of an enemy ship, which, he wrote Benjamin Franklin, would be constructed with great simplicity and upon principles of natural philosophy. What? And he was buddies with Ben Franklin too? Little is known about the origin, inspiration, and influences for Bushnell's invention. Huh. Isn't that convenient? It seems clear Bushnell knew of the work of the Dutch inventor Cornelius Drebbel somehow, right? Because in Connecticut in 1775, all you had to do was go to the library and you'd find works from Drebbel in Holland, in Amsterdam, back from 15 something or other. Why is that acceptable?
I don't know. Hi.
Random guy in Connecticut somehow has access to some random guy. Well, not random. I mean, Drebbel was like God. Like, what Drebbel did, like, the Drebbel history is fucking incredible. Incredible. It was incredible. Incredible. Yeah. I'm sorry. No, incredible. According to Dr. Benjamin Gale, got another Benjamin right away. It's funny how that always happens. Every time one is mentioned, there's another one right after that. A doctor who taught at Yale. The many brass and mechanical moving parts of the submarine were built by the New Haven clockmaker, engraver, silversmith, brass manufacturer, and inventor Isaac Doolittle, whose shop was just a half block from Yale. Yeah.
You're kidding.
The many mechanical parts and brass workings.
Yeah.
The many brass and mechanical moving parts of the submarine from 1775.
That's Kev.
Though Bushnell is given the overall design credit for the turtle by Gale and others, Doolittle was well known as an ingenious mechanic, i.e. engineer, engraver, and metalworker. He had both designed and manufactured complicated brass wheel hall clocks and mahogany printing presses. A mahogany printing press in 1769, the first made in America after Doolittle successfully duplicated the iron screw. So here we have the submarine guy attached to the guy that invented the first printing press. Made out of mahogany.
Ed's dog was Duke, right?
Yep. Let's see. Mahogany printing press in 1769. brass compasses, and surveying instruments. He also founded and owned a brass foundry where he cast bells. At the start of the American Revolution, the wealthy and patriotic Doolittle built a gunpowder mill with 2 partners in New Haven to support the war, and was sent by Connecticut government to prospect for lead. Though the design of Turtle was necessarily shrouded in secrecy based on his mechanical engineering expertise, the previous experience in design and manufacturing, it seems Doolittle designed and crafted and probably funded the brass and the moving parts of the Turtle, including the propulsion system, the navigation instruments, the brass foot-operated water ballast and forcing pumps, the depth gauge and compass, the brass crown hatch, the clockwork detonator for the mine, and the hand-operated propeller crank and foot-driven treadle with flywheel. Right, because the foot press, the foot, he had to press that water out with his foot, so he had to be pretty fucking strong, I would imagine. According to a letter from Dr. Benjamin Gale to Benjamin Franklin, Doolittle also designed the mine attachment mechanism, those parts which conveys the powder and secures the same to the bottom of the ship. The most historically important invention of the Turtle was the propeller, as well as it was the first known use of one in a watercraft. It was described by an oar of rowing forward or backward, an oar for rowing forward or backward, with no precedent design, and in a letter by Dr. Benjamin Gale to Silas Deane as a pair of oars fixed like 2 opposite arms of a windmill, and as 2 oars or paddles they were like the arms of a windmill, 12 inches long and about 4 inches wide, as it was probably brass and was thus likely designed and forged by Doolittle. Boy, this guy sure loves him some Doolittle, doesn't he? Doolittle also likely provided the scarce commodities of gunpowder and lead ballasts as well. The wealthy Doolittle, nearly 20 years older than the Yale student Bushnell, was a founder and longtime warden of Trinity Episcopal Church on the Green, and was in charge of New Haven's port inspection and beacon alarm systems. Man, Doolittle was doing lots, suggesting that Doolittle provided much of the political and financial leadership in building the Turtle, as well as its brass and moving parts. Was Doolittle Jewish? That's why? Do we have to? Isaac. His name's Isaac. Was an early American clockmaker, inventor, manufacturer, militia officer, entrepreneur, printer, politician, and brass, iron, and silver artisan. Man, this guy was awesome. Doolittle was a watchmaker and clockmaker known for making and selling at his shop in New Haven, Connecticut, one of the first brass wheel hall clocks in America. He also crafted and sold scientific instruments and is regarded as the first native practitioner of silversmithing in the Connecticut colony. He was also an engraver and painter of both legal forms and currency, and became the first American to design, manufacture, and sell a printing press in 1769. Somewhat late in his life, he became a successful self-educated bell foundryman, learning the difficult craft of casting large metal bells. Hell yeah. Isaac Doolittle was born in Wallingford, Connecticut, the son of Joseph and Elizabeth Holt Doolittle. At an early age, he apprenticed under the clockmaker Macock Ward. Yeah, a lot of Macocks I know. In Wallingford, but moved to New Haven about the time he married Sarah Todd of Wallingford on November 10th, 1743. Gotta love those Todds. He opened a shop across from Yale College on Chapel Street, where he repaired, made, and sold not only clocks and watches, but compasses, sea and land surveyors, scales, and protractors, Gouging rods, walking sticks, silver-plated buttons turned upon a horn, and a variety of other work. First, Walden Trinity Church. After opening his clock, instrument, and silversmith shop in New Haven, Doolittle became quite wealthy. Around 1749, he was appointed, along with Enos Alling, by the Anglican missionary priest and educator, the Reverend Samuel Johnson, D.D., as one of two church wardens of Trinity Church on the Green, the first Church of England parish in Puritan-dominated New Haven, where the Congregationalist Church was the established state religion of the colony, and Yale College in the town was seen as the school of prophets and the bastion of Puritan orthodoxy. Against strong and determined Puritan opposition in 1752, he and fellow Warden Alling obtained a deed for a plot from innkeeper Samuel Mix Jr. and oversaw the construction of the first Trinity Church in 1752 to 1753. Of course he did. With Doolittle contributing more money to its construction than any of its other founding members. He continued on the role of warden, guiding the parish for much of the next 35 years. From 1750 to 1756, from 1770 to 1777, and again from 1783 to 1785. Jesus Christ. It just keeps going. I just can't. It's like there's just so much. And it's just so much bullshit. Oh, here we go. We're going to figure this out, though. Okay. In making the hull, Bushnell enlisted the services of several skilled artisans, including his brother, the farmer Ezra Bushnell, the ship's carpenter, Phineas Pratt, both, like David Bushnell, from Saybrook. Of course, his brother was a skilled artisan as well. The hull was constructed of oak, somewhat like a barrel, and bound by heavy wrought iron hoops. The shape of the hull, Gale informed Silas Dean, has the nearest resemblance to the two upper shells of a tortoise joined together. Named for its shape, Turtle resembled a large clam as much as a turtle. It was about 10 feet long, according to the original specifications, 6 feet tall, and about 3 feet wide. I mean, that's not very big. And consisted of 2 wooden shells covered with tar and reinforced with steel bands. It dived by allowing water into a blige tank at the bottom of the vessel and ascended by pushing water through a hand pump. It was propelled vertically and horizontally by hand-cranked and pedal-powered propellers, respectively. So the guy is steering with his butt cheeks, propelling, like, I'm assuming bicycle propelling with his feet, pumping with his feet, and cranking with his hand propeller to go up and down. It also had about 200 pounds of lead aboard, which could be released in a moment to increase buoyancy. Manned and operated by one person, the vessel contained enough air for about 30 minutes and had a speed in calm water of about 3 miles per hour. 6 small pieces of thick glass at the top of the submarine provided natural light. The internal instruments had small pieces of bioluminescent foxfire. Bioluminescent foxfire? Bioluminescence. I know what bioluminescence is. Foxfire, also called fairy candy and chimpanzee fire, is the bioluminescence created by some species of fungi present in decaying wood. The bluish-green glow is attributed to a luciferase, an oxidative enzyme which emits light as it reacts with a luciferin. Boy, that's a familiar word. The phenomenon has been known since ancient times, with its source determined in 1823. What's up?
Yep.
Yeah. Artificial glow contrasts with natural glow. That shit apparently glows for some reason. Never seen it. Never heard of it. Foxfire is the bioluminescence created by some species of fungi present in decaying wood. It occurs in a number of species, including who gives a fuck. The bluish-green glow is attributed to luciferin, which emits light after oxidation catalyzed by the enzyme luciferase. Some believe that the light attracts insects to spread spores or acts as a warning to hungry animals, like the bright colors exhibited by some poisonous or unpalatable animal species. Although generally very dim, in some cases foxfire is bright enough to read by. The oldest recorded documentation of foxfire is from 362 by Aristotle, whose notes refer to a light that, unlike fire, was cold to the touch. The Roman thinker Pliny the Elder also mentioned glowing wood in olive groves. Man, it had to be great to be a thinker back in the day, huh? Foxfire was used to illuminate the needles on the barometer and the compass of turtle, an early submarine. This is commonly thought to have been suggested by Benjamin Franklin. A reading of the correspondence from Benjamin Gale, however, shows that Ben Franklin was only consulted for alternative forms of lighting when the cold temperatures rendered the foxfire inactive. So it didn't work. So why is it even talked about if it didn't fucking work? After many more literary references to foxfire by early scientists and naturalists, its cause was discovered in 1823. So that story is bullshit. The internal instruments had small pieces of bioluminescent foxfire attached to the needles to indicate their position in the dark. During trials in November 1775, Bushell discovered that this illumination failed when the temperature dropped too low. Remember, these guys are in the north. It's November. They're doing all this in November? Doesn't that seem like you should have waited? Why wouldn't you do this when it's warmer outside? Although repeated requests were made to Ben Franklin for possible alternatives, none was forthcoming, and Turtle was sidelined for the winter. Bushnell's basic design included some elements present in earlier experimental submersibles. What? The method of raising and lowering the vessel was similar to that developed by Nathaniel Simons in 1729. We sure did miss him. And the gaskets used to make watertight connections around the connections between the internal and external controls also may have come from Simons, who constructed a submersible based on a 17th century Italian design by Giovanni Alfonso Barilli. So now we're just going back again. I thought I was reading about the first one.
If they keep going like this,
right, that's all it is.
Then you get frustrated, confused,
and you quit. Yep, fuck this. This is stupid. I quit.
Yep.
So now I'm back to regular submarines. And we were at David Bushnell. Now we're at 19th century. In 1800, France built Nautilus, a human-powered submarine designed by American Robert Fulton. Oh, the Nautilus. What? Designed by Robert Fulton, first tested in 1800. Exactly 1800. Man, it's 1799. Can you imagine in 1800? We're going to be going underwater and shit. Dude, it's going to be awesome. Though preceded by Cornelius Drebbel's vessel in 1620, the Turtle. Are you seriously trying to get in trouble? Why? Didn't you stay home from school. Didn't you get in trouble for this yesterday? Seriously. Get on the couch. You definitely are in trouble now. For what? I don't know. Nautilus is often considered to be the first practical submarine. Oh, now this one is. The Nautilus. Yeah, for sure. Propulsion. Crank screw propeller or a sail when it surfaced. A hand crank screw propeller. Can you imagine cranking that fucking thing? Trying to get that thing to go? That had to be insane. Fulton built the first Nautilus, of copper sheets over iron ribs at the Perrier Boatyard in Rouen. It was 25 feet 3 inches long and 6 feet 4 inches in the beam. Propulsion was provided by a hand crank screw propeller. The hollow iron keel was the vessel's ballast tank, flooded and emptied to change buoyancy. 2 horizontal fins, diving planes in modern times. On the stubby horizontal rudder, controlled angle of dive. Overall, Nautilus resembled a modern research submarine such as the NR-1, having a long teardrop hull. The design included an observation dome, somewhat similar in appearance, if not function, to the conning tower of later submarines. When surfaced, a fan-shaped collapsible sail, reminiscent of those popular on Chinese ships, could be deployed. Air beyond the enclosed within the vessel, could be provided by a snorkel constructed of waterproofed leather. Yeah, because again, you could have this big ass like thing underwater and a small little snorkel coming out of the top that's going to fill the thing with air and not have waves crashing up into it. And nope, it's waterproofed leather. Nautilus was designed from the start to carry what Fulton called a carcass, a naval mine intended to be dragged into contact with an... Isn't it funny how they were all built for the same purpose? Mm-hmm. All right, look, I can't do anymore. I'm fucking tired. I'm done. Sorry. If you want more, I'll do more tomorrow. But hope you guys learned a lot, because it seems like a bunch of bullshit to me. Have a great day. Pedophiles, kill yourself.